Thanks for joining today's session. My name is Samantha Gibson, and I'm part of the AWS Data Exchange team based out of New York City. AWS Data Exchange is a new service that helps our customers to discover, subscribe to, and use third-party data in the cloud. Later in this session, I'm lucky to be joined by Nimesh Bharadia, COO of Data and Optimization Asia Pacific, from one of our service launch partners, Tradition. So what are we going to cover in today's session? First, we'll hear a little bit about some of the challenges that we were hearing from our third-party data providers and subscribers, and really what they wanted in terms of how they exchange data. Next, we'll talk about the data exchange as a service. We'll talk about how it works and some of its features. Then we'll turn it over to Nimesh to hear why Tradition chose to use AWS Data Exchange to publish their data, and a demonstration of Tradition data in action. And then last, we'll close with how to get started and some relevant data sources, particularly given the macroeconomic environment as of late. So hopefully I don't have to convince anyone in this session that data is transforming the way that businesses innovate, whether it's traditional use cases and the power to compute more and more data, or whether it's bringing in new types of data like weather trends or news sentiment or places information to combine with traditional data sets to form new business insights and to drive change in your organization. But the way in which customers engage with data is also changing. We are hearing across the board that data exchanges should be simple, like many other customer exchanges. Primarily easy to use, everything is cloud native, a seamless experience, and a preference for self-service, being able to discover yourself and make decisions on your own. Specifically drilling into data relationships, we heard several challenges, and these challenges really bucketed into two categories, as I mentioned before. Those who subscribe and consume a lot of third-party data, and those whose business or a side part of their business is about providing content and providing a revenue stream or an information stream from that content. The challenges mirrored each other, but were a little bit different. From the subscriber angle, we heard that it simply took too long while you made a decision to actually bring that data into your environment and make productive use out of it. So what data subscribers were asking for is an easier way to discover, figure out if the content is what they need for their analysis, and then take them through the cycles that go into billing processes, negotiations on price and legal terms, and then ultimately choosing and setting up a delivery mechanism. Subscribers were also saying that each of their vendors provided their feeds differently. Some delivered hard drives, some used FTP or SFTP, some were using bespoke API endpoints. But really, at the end of the day, for the subscriber, even if all of their vendors are getting more sophisticated, the subscriber still has to understand each of those delivery channels individually, and they end up with tens of thousands of lines of code to parse all these disparate data sets as they come into their environment. Switching gears to the provider challenges, we heard a few things there as well. For many of these data providers, particularly those who this has been their core business for many years now, the infrastructure that goes into storing data, billing for data, entitlements for data, and the actual delivery or moving data from organization A to organization B is not the competitive differentiator. It's simply a cost of doing business. Maybe 20 years ago, it actually was unique to be able to handle those functions. But now at the onset of the cloud and other technologies, it's really a cost of doing business. So if there was anything AWS could do to help lower that total cost of ownership and move the onus of the provider from the undifferentiated plumbing to the higher order services like domain expertise, building analytics and insights, doing data entity resolution at a domain level, that was much more interesting than some of the underlying plumbing layer. And second, for the data providers, many of which have existing relationships with customers or partners, however they think about it, they were looking for a way to bring the AWS community to their content and expose their data to more eyeballs who might find a use for it that they never even thought of before. So the subscribers and providers had various challenges, and it really boiled down to 2 points. Subscribers need a better way to find and subscribe to data, and providers needed a better way to reach their potential subscriber universe and bring down that total cost of acquisition and ownership with those various customer supplies. So we launched AWS Data Exchange in November of 2019, again, a service to address many of these challenges with regard to discovery, procurement, and ingestion. Data Exchange is one place so that you can see all of your data assets that you're bringing in-house through the cloud. It natively integrates with many other AWS services so that you don't have to be a sophisticated technician to be able to go use the data. It allows for easy subscription management and ideally a lower time to procurement so that you can actually get that interesting content into your models and into your analytics sooner. And for those on the procurement side, a simplified and centralized way to understand billing and provisioning of all of your assets. So how does it actually work? The data exchange is a two-party, providers and subscribers. On the left-hand side, providers across all industries and all sophistication levels have a programmatic way to publish data into the data exchange. The data is in the way that they structure it and the way that they want to present it, but they have a single and programmatic way to publish it into our environment to be discovered by their potential customer universe. On the right-hand side of the screen, subscribers have a programmatic way to have their entitled data sets flow into their AWS ecosystem. So the AWS Data Exchange acts as a single API cloud layer such that providers can contribute in and entitled subscribers can consume out. What are some of the other features of Data Exchange? Well, for one, we have a model called the Bring Your Own Subscription, BYOS, where a data provider and a data subscriber have a pre-existing relationship but simply want to use the entitlement and the delivery technology to maintain their relationship. You're able to migrate your existing data relationships at no additional charge to the provider or the subscriber. As I mentioned on the previous slide, the automatic consumption of new data into your ecosystem. Data Exchange is integrated with CloudWatch events that allow you to know when a new data update, if your data is updated once a week, once a day, once every few minutes, you'll know that that data is ready and can be consumed into your environment. And lastly, managing all of your data in one place. We talked about this earlier, but again, for those in the room that have oversight on procurement, a great way to understand your catalog, great way to understand the metadata around the subscriptions that you have, when they're going to auto renew, what the terms are, if there's a commercial value, and if that commercial value is going to stay the same at a renewal date, and other procurement metadata like that. From a security and compliance perspective, data is encrypted at rest and in transit in and out of the service. We're compliant with GDPR, HIPAA, ISO, and we're integrated with AWS Identity Access Management, commonly known as IAM policies, that allow you to have access over which of your users and which of your roles should be able to take certain actions within Data Exchange. So before we go to Nimesh, I just wanted to share a little bit of customer feedback, give some perspective about who is using the service. So we have a mix of data providers, data consumers, and partners on the screen providing some early feedback about the service. For example, Dun & Bradstreet, an established provider in the financial services sector, they have various market insights data available on Data Exchange, which provides subscribers information on market trends in different geographies and sectors, like insurance, warehousing, storage, and securities brokerage. Reuters, most notable for their high-quality news, have various news archives available, including news in different languages like Mandarin and news covering the automotive, pharmaceutical, and energy sectors. Have you ever hailed an Uber or geotagged a tweet on Twitter? Have you snapped a photo with a Samsung phone? Then you're using Foursquare. You may not even have known it. Foursquare Places data provides firmographic and community-sourced content for 105 million POIs, places of interest, 60 million of them commercial, across 190 countries and 50 territories globally. This data is also available on Data Exchange. And finally, partnerships. Our Deloitte Converge Health partnership with their Converge Health business have integrated with AWS Exchange APIs to help them with what we call their upstream users, Deloitte's analytics and cognitive practice, which helps organizations transform healthcare data into research-ready formats, and what we call their downstream. Their Converge Health Miner platform is a managed cloud and analytics platform enabling secure, auditable collaboration and analysis. So just a little bit of feedback from some of our data providers, consumers, and partners. Now I'd like to turn it over to Nimesh, who's going to give us a presentation on Data Exchange and why Tradition is using Data Exchange, as well as a demo of seeing some of Tradition's data in action.
I'll start by saying the views expressed here today are my own. My name is Nimesh Bharadia. I am the COO for Tradition's Data and Optimization Group in Asia Pacific. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with Tradition, we are a global OTC brokerage or broker-dealer. We have 3,000 brokers across the globe engaging in voice, hybrid, electronic markets across all asset classes, from onshore to offshore FX, interest rate derivatives, fixed income, credit and energy. We are the primary broker in many global and regional markets with a strong history and pedigree stretching back over 40 years. As an organization, we started our journey with AWS nearly 7 years ago by embracing cloud services and solutions. Since those early days, we have continually evolved and built upon our environment, leading to a cloud-native data delivery directly to our clients. Having cloud-native delivery has meant that we were also poised to take the next step, not only addressing a need by the marketplace for accessing data any place and anyhow, but also the market's increased data requirements for decision-making, processing, and executing. It became logical that our next step was to leverage the existing partnership and make Tradition products available over AWS Data Exchange. From global and regional banks, funds, risk valuation groups, analytics and software providers, redistribution vendors, through to consulting firms, and the need from regulators on organizations for independent data sources for price discovery and the use in real-time and periodic value-at-risk calculations. Historical modeling for trade and algo strategies, data lakes, and much more show that the market is evolving more rapidly than ever before and needs more granular data than people have had easy access to previously. Tradition's strengths are encapsulated into two key areas: our coverage across a broad and diverse product offering, which is sourced directly from our brokerage business and combined with market-leading analytics, and our ability to meet market requirements and adapt to the ever-changing landscape of data, from product packaging to leading-edge delivery solutions. When you look at the latter, previously, data packages have been more like buying a bus to take 2 children to school instead of just having a small car. Adding to that, there have been historical challenges in implementing sources of data, as every client organization has its own types of sophistication and complexity. With AWS Data Exchange and its ease of use to upload and group data at an individual level, and then coupling that with Tradition Data's granular approach to data distribution, allows subscribers of all types to drive the exact vehicle they need, not the vehicle they're made to have. I'd like to invite Boris Banushev, who is AI/ML Solutions Architect from AWS, to show you how Tradition's data, consumed via ADX, can be used to solve a common capital markets use case.
This demo shows how easy it is to access data from AWS Data Exchange and merge it with other sources such as internal data and use it to any downstream AWS services. We use machine learning in order to predict bond prices, which sell-side traders or buy-side portfolio managers can use to make better decisions on the assets they trade or interact more effectively with their customers. We start by combining economic data coming from different sources. From AWS Data Exchange and Tradition, we obtain currency-related data such as interest rate swaps, spot rates, forwards, etc., because FX and swap movements are leading indicators of changing in the bond price that we want to use machine learning to predict. Also, from other third-party APIs, we collect additional information on stock markets, derivatives, commodities, basically any asset that might affect the price of a bond. It is important also to gather fundamental data, so we collect economic news from various sources and perform sentiment analysis on it. Finally, we merge all of this together with internal customer data coming from RFQ or requests for quotation, internal chats, customer emails, etc., and merge it all in a data lake. In order to have the best possible prediction through machine learning algorithms, we need to create as much information, also called features, about the economy as possible. So from the data collected, we create technical indicators that all traders use, such as Bollinger Bands, MACD, RSI, along with other high-level features, including denoising and long-term trend extraction using Fourier transforms, and also anomaly detection on derivatives pricing. The more features we create, the more accurate our algorithms will be. Next, we use different machine learning approaches for time series prediction, simpler ones such as ARIMA or autoregressive integrated moving average, and more complex ones, including recurrent neural networks. Finally, we can visualize everything through Amazon QuickSight. Here we can see several pieces of information together, the historical bond prices in yellow, along with some technical indicators in blue lines and several Fibonacci levels in green. The gray line at the right side is the predicted prices that can give traders information about levels that the bond price will reach in the next couple of months so that they can trade on that information. What is more, we can also visualize the internal data. The two red lines indicate levels at which customers have previously requested to trade. And using the prediction, the traders can see that these requested levels will be reached soon and can proactively start trading on behalf of their customers or call these clients. Additionally, our prototype can automatically send emails to traders and customers when requested price will be reached in the future or have already been reached. In the next slide, we can see that the prediction is relatively correct and the two lines are close together. In summary, by merging internal and external data sets, including third-party data from AWS Data Exchange, together on AWS and leveraging our suite of machine learning services, you can look to better understand where assets are trading and when you should trade or recommend a trade to a customer. So now I will pass on to my colleague who will wrap up the session.
Thank you, Nimesh. We're really grateful you could join us in this session. And frankly, that was fascinating. I hope everyone else viewing thinks so as well. So now let's wrap up the session with how can you get started? How can you use AWS Data Exchange and who uses AWS Data Exchange? Well, I'll pose a series of questions. Do you use AWS tools and services? Second question, does your organization consume any third-party data, commercial or open sourced? And lastly, does your organization publish content, whether it's from a research or collaborative element or commercial data element? If you answered yes to the first two questions, then you should view yourself as a data subscriber. Anyone can be a data subscriber. Anyone with an AWS account can log in and browse our catalog of over 2,000 data products and over 100 data vendors across themes like financial services, retail, manufacturing, media and entertainment, automotive, and public sector data. If you answered yes to the last question around publishing content, whether it's an existing piece of your business or an area of your business that's more nascent, you can consider yourself a data provider. Data providers can get involved through our AWS marketplace and be able to publish content after a qualification process into the console. I encourage you all to check out the Data Exchange website and the Data Exchange catalog. You can view on the left-hand links on the screen and take a look for yourself. Understand the data products, understand the vendors and the content, and do a bit of exploring. You can filter by commercial products or non-commercial products, and you can help your data science teams or your procurement teams with various workflows. If you liked what Nimesh shared, I encourage you to also check out Tradition's data, particularly if you source financial data. Their data is on Data Exchange, and you can filter by Tradition as a data vendor or by keyword. I just want to thank you, lastly, for joining this session. You virtually met me in New York, which is awesome. And I hope to hear from many of you that you're trying out AWS Data Exchange, you're consuming various data sets, and any feedback is highly welcome. Thank you.